Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a good day. I wanted to make a video and talk about Sub-Zero in Injustice 2. And I wanted to discuss primarily his costume design, the fan reaction to him, as well as a little bit about gameplay predictions and things like that. The reason why I want to do this is because Sub-Zero, Mortal Kombat, and Injustice all have a special place in my heart. I grew up with Mortal Kombat as a kid, and I'm telling you, that's like one of the one of the very first games I've ever played. And my favorite color was blue. It still is. So when I saw a fighter that was garbed in blue, I had to pick him, right? Because he's cool. Because he likes blue, just like me. And seeing him throw out ice, slide, ice clones, all that stuff. Well, once I got older and played, MK3 onward, I was like, man, this guy is awesome. This guy is so freaking cool. And that's why I have just a natural affinity for any and everything that can control ice. I love it because of that guy. I gravitated towards him, and I'm like a super nerd when it comes to Sub-Zero, Kuai specifically. I know everything there is about lore. I can emulate every single fighting stance that he's ever used. I know every single fatality that he's ever had. Yeah, I'm one of those guys, right? I'm a mega fan. So of course, when I saw that he was going to make it in Injustice 2, I had to, you know what I mean? I have to get on board. He's my favorite character of like anything ever, not just Mortal Kombat. So of course, I have to get excited about him. He's my boy. And I'm really happy for him because he's getting a lot more love. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, and also Injustice has a very special place in my heart because that was Injustice 1 was the first fighting game that I actually started to learn the dance that is the fighting game concepts and how things work, right? Before then, I don't know what a mix-up was. What's a cross-up? What's frame? What the hell are frames? I don't understand any of that. But it was the first fighting game that I actually took my time to understand, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I met great friends because of Injustice, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this game, and I hope that I get the same sort of rush to always want to get better as I did way back in the day. So I want to talk about the costume, but I'll save that for last because I'm just going to talk forever. So I want to talk about the fan reaction to him first and foremost. Naturally, you're going to see people in comment sections of videos upset with his inclusion, and even more so because one of the silhouettes does look like Raiden, and we don't know if that is him or not, but who knows, right? And I'm not mad at that because I was upset in Mortal Kombat X when half of the DLC was guest characters, whereas in MK9 there was only one. And I don't want to get on MKX too long. I know the characters fit, right, because of the nature of the combat in the game and the fatalities and stuff like that. And a lot of the characters were pretty good, except I fucking hated Leatherface. I still do. I think it's the biggest waste of a character slot in the history of Mortal Kombat. But like I said, I don't want to get into that. So I kind of understand that predicament. I know because I didn't want half of my DLC to be guest characters, even though for the most part they were pretty good. But the point that I keep bringing up is not a long time ago, but a while ago, Ed had released a poll that said, who out of these Mortal Kombat characters would you like to see make it in Injustice 2? And Sub-Zero won by a long shot. I think the second person, or I think second place was like Johnny Cage or whatever. And I mean, he's a fan favorite. I think he's more I mean, I don't know, right? But I think he's more popular than Scorpion. Like when it comes to MK fans, I think he's probably more popular, or he's getting close to surpassing him in terms of popularity. People like him. People like him, and people wanted to see him. Now, whether they should have included a section in that poll to say don't include any Mortal Kombat characters is a different story. But this is NetherRealm Studios. Guest characters are a staple in their DLC plans. I mean, that's how it's going to be. It's been that way in Mortal Kombat 9. And I should mention that Kratos was actually a guest character as well. I totally forgot about him. Kratos and Freddy in MK9. Then we had Scorpion in Injustice 1. Then we had Alien, Leatherface, God, fuck. What's his name? Jason and Predator, right? I think those are the four guest characters. Half the goddamn DLC was guest. I mean, it's commonplace. It kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. I understand the problems that people have with this decision to include a character from a different universe, a different game, into another into another game that's in a universe that has hundreds of characters. I get that. Believe me, I get that. But people wanted to see him in. And I think, why not? Of all the characters, there are plenty of characters that could have made it in. But I'm glad because Sub-Zero's getting more love. And he needs it, man. He gets killed in every goddamn trailer. I mean, he finally got a cover, aside from Mortal Kombat Deception, one of the special editions or whatever. He got himself a cover, which is fucking great. I'm happy for that. I'm happy that he's clearly seeing a rise in popularity. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have made it into Injustice 2. So I'm really happy for him. Also, I'm biased because he's my favorite character, right? But yeah, I think he's going to be a great fit. I really do. However, I will say this. If that is Raiden, I will be upset because I am a one and done type of person when it comes to guest characters. That's just me, right? You can disagree, that's fine. 2 are the absolute max, man. Like, I mean, half your DLC is guest characters. Granted, like I said, they were good choices, except for one. That's a lot. That is a lot. There are shitloads of Mortal Kombat characters that could have made it in. A couple of them were staring you in the face, like Fujin and Kuai. Hell, Rain could have made it in since he had a significant part in that story. Reiko could have made it in. But anyways, if that is Raiden, I will be upset, and I will be on their side. And I'm already on their side, but the fans wanted to see, Mortal Kombat fans wanted to see him in, and Ed was going to give the people what they want. And like I've mentioned, guest characters are commonplace in NRS games. They're not going to go anywhere. They're just going to keep showing up. If Spawn makes it in, people will totally forget about this, hopefully. But yeah, so that is the fan reaction that I wanted to talk about. Next that I wanted to talk about was gameplay possibilities, and this is pretty exciting with this gear system, and I actually haven't paid too much attention to Injustice 2 for a while because I kind of thought that I wasn't going to get it, but the more that I've started to look into it and see some of my friends getting it, and obviously seeing him, it's gotten me a lot more excited, and I've started to watch a lot more videos, a lot more, previous live streams and whatnot. And the first thing that I kind of want to talk about is also kind of related to his costume design and some lore in a way, as we have never seen Sub-Zero use like dual wield Corey blades. We've never seen that ever. That's pretty exciting to me. We've seen him use a fucking ice wand in Mortal Kombat 4. We've seen him Corey blade and fucking basically everything else, which is really cool. Sword made of ice, that's awesome. And we've seen him use like daggers and MKX, but we've never seen him dual wield 2 Corey blades. Use 2 Corey blades at once. That's pretty exciting because that's something that's a fighting style for him that I've never seen before. And it really, really excites me. And I feel like with this gear system, and I've actually seen, certain characters change quite drastically. From like Bane from sacrificing armor on, I think, Venom special moves or something like that, to just flat out extra damage. You use all 3 Venom tanks and get a raw super. I seen that on the live stream, and it did 90% of the other players' health. That's insane. I've seen new moves be added to the Flash and stuff like that. That's super exciting. And I feel like with Sub-Zero, we have, a traditional foundational concept, and that's the thing that I'll bring up a lot. Traditional foundational concepts is Sub-Zero obviously uses ice. Ice is a defensive, right, in quotation marks, is a defensive element, right? Barricades, shields, clones, all kinds of stuff like that. But now we get to basically expand upon the Cryomancer variation. If you think about that, if we have two Kuai blades, and we take the more aggressive style, the more offensive style, and now we can push it even further in Injustice 2 with a more heavier rush down, who knows what it might be, heavy mix-ups or whatever. So that's really exciting. We're going to have a general archetype for Sub-Zero that'll probably be similar to what he normally is, what he's normally like. And we saw that with Scorpion as well. I mean, the fucking recipe was the same, super fast, super agile, flying all around the screen. When it comes to the transition from that he made to Injustice, it was basically the same, you know what I mean? But I feel like Sub-Zero has a lot of different options to take. I feel like we can get those three variations that we had in MKX, like a super defensive style with a lot of focus on controlling space with ice clones and stuff like that, and being able to throw them, to being able to use some sort of ability like shit, I forget what it's called, the move in MKX, where he basically like puts ice on himself and he takes less chip damage and stuff like that. And maybe the character power, maybe the character trait will be both the Kuai blades or whatnot. But I feel like there's a lot of different moves that he's going to be able to use, as well as additional moves that are going to come on when it comes to, or get added on when it comes to like gear and stuff like that, to augment his playstyle dramatically. And that really excites me because we've never really seen a super offensive Sub-Zero, and just the fact that he's going to use two Kuai blades at once is really exciting. And so yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see basically every archetype with this guy. We're going to see super defensive, we're going to see highly aggressive, we're going to see jack of all trades, we're going to see some zoning type of things. I kind of predict that he'll actually get a projectile that does damage instead of just freezing. I think that would be pretty interesting. I feel like a piece of gear will augment his, vanilla ice ball, his ice blast, into like a shard that will deal damage. And I think that'd be pretty cool. That would drastically change the character. So yeah, you heard it here first, I guess. So yeah, I'm super excited for him. I'm super excited to see all the different routes that Sub-Zero is going to take. So what I want to talk about now, which is probably going to take up the majority of the video, is I wanted to talk about his costume design, of course, right? Being a mega fan, I have to comment about that. So first off, we know that Jim Lee, if I'm not mistaken, is the one who designed Sub-Zero's costume, and it makes sense from a design decision, design choice, to have someone who's created suits for superheroes to make a suit, make a costume for a character that doesn't belong to the universe to fit, in quotation marks, fit in the universe. So it makes sense. And of course we're going to see the traditional concepts, the foundational concepts, the fundamental concepts, all the same word, basically all the same meaning, appear in his design when it comes to the mask, obviously, the V garb, that's not going anywhere. But what I wanted to hint, and here, let me say this, because I've thought about this a lot, and I don't want to come off as someone who doesn't like his costume, as overly negative. I'm just commenting on it, right? I'm just comparing it to all the other costumes that he's ever worn and seeing it as like a natural progression as he's gone through the story and lived and experienced things and whatnot. But I can't necessarily do that because this is a costume that doesn't necessarily belong in the Mortal Kombat universe. But there are some things that still kind of like, make me scratch my head, or I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So first and foremost is the hood. And not the hood, not the traditional hood that you see basically with every ninja, even though, he's not a ninja, he's an assassin. That black hood that kind of comes around, like that spandex, that they all wear underneath usually, or just like the upper body and stuff like that. He's got two of them in this costume, and it's really weird because he has an actual like hoodie hood, that comes off of his V garb that's actually attached to it, and that's really weird. Not to mention, like, every ninja character has had hoods, right? but it's more like a skull cap almost. It's like that spandex, you know, like a scuba diver or some shit. But he's never worn like a hoodie hood, like a hood that is styled in that you throw over your head, like Scorpion, you know what I mean? And I'm not counting, what is it, Cold Steel Sub-Zero, because that was originally supposed to be a fucking skin for Scorpion that was like in one of the collector's editions that got just reused to hell. But then again, like, that wasn't the purpose of the skin. It was, you know, for community funding, but I don't want to get into that. So I don't really count that, because that's basically just literally a recolor of someone else's skin. So that's kind of lame. And it's just weird that it's literally attached to the V garb itself. It's not, you know, it's a part of that. So it's like he puts that on over himself, and then the hood comes over, even though he already has a hood on top of himself. It's really weird. It's really weird. I've never seen him wear anything like that ever. Even Scorpion has never worn anything like that until Injustice 1. And that's another thing, is there, like, that similarity, I was very surprised to see it make into both of their costume designs, at least in Sub-Zero's, because it's a totally different character, right? Totally different character, totally different motivations, totally different clan. Well, that's kind of weird to me, I'm not going to lie. One thing that I am extremely happy to see is Kuai Liang's original mask. That is something that I'm ecstatic to see. Not because I prefer it over MKX's or any of his previous masks. I love MKX's design. I think that's one of the best costumes Sub-Zero has ever had. But I'm glad to see an iconic mask return to him. Of course, in premium skins and all kinds of shit like that. I mean, it probably won't be very difficult to take the the costume from Mortal Kombat X and put it straight into Injustice 2. I'm pretty sure that's going to make it in, which is totally fine, because that costume, like I said, is awesome. So, yeah, I'm really happy to see an iconic mask return. That's great. Another thing that's kind of weird is the suit that he wears underneath. You know, that black mesh underlay. I don't even know if that's the right fucking word. But just like the full body spandex that he wears. And that's another thing that we've never seen him wear ever. Only in the movies has he worn anything like that. Every other time he's had, you know, his arms almost bare. He's got some like gauntlets on him or something like that. So it's kind of interesting that they went this route with having like a full suit of, you know, clothing that he wears first, instead of, you know, just like something that covers his neck or something like that, his neck down to his waist, because generally his arms are, you know, out in the open. He doesn't really have anything covering them, like clothing wise. He has obviously like, you know, ceremonial gauntlets or something that portrays like his Cryomancer heritage or some shit like that. But yeah, it's really weird. Another thing too is like he has like ice shards sticking out of him, so it's like that to me, and as well as evidence from the frost emanating from his forearms and his hands, to me that means his arms are already frozen over. So he's basically like, it's a very similar concept to Mortal Kombat 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception. Well, not Deception really, because his whole body is, you know, sub-zero, if you will, the temperature. So he's already like completely pale because his body is so damn cold. But, you know, the frozen arms is something that goes back to Mortal Kombat 4 and Deadly Alliance, as well as, you know, the Cryomancer variation in MKX. So it's clear that his whole arms, all of his arms, there's only fucking two of them, both of his arms are like that. So, you know, I'm curious to see if his whole body is like that. If there's going to be like other ice shards kind of like sticking out of like other parts of his legs or something like that. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah. So the ice shards kind of sticking out are a little odd to me, because it's like you might as well just, if the shards that are coming out of your arms like tearing through your fucking suit, you might as well just go sleeveless. But yeah, whatever. Another thing that's kind of weird, and it goes along with the suit that he's wearing, is when you look up close to his face. And that's the thing that I don't understand with this hood that he has, like the blue hood, is you clearly see that suit comes down to his, you know, his forehead, like actually very low on his forehead. So you see that the Under Armour suit, that's what we called it as kids because we didn't know any other brand. that suit kind of goes, obviously he puts that on first, and it goes all the way to his forehead, and he has his mask covering it. So it's like, what's the point of the hood? You know what I mean? What's the point of the blue hood? I can't really get over that. It's just really out of place for me. But yeah, you can see his eyes, and you can see that he's really, he looks dark skinned. But you would say, okay, yeah, that's just a suit. But like when you look at his eyes on a close-up photo, like his skin is pretty dark, and that's just, I don't know, it's just kind of really odd to me. We see that the design of the garb is actually very similar to Mortal Kombat X. In the there's kind of like I don't know what you want to call them, the pillars. You know what I mean? The rows of like fabric that seem like they have a lot of like stuff in them. Look like the rows are stuffed full of like fabric, or I don't fucking know what I'm trying to say. Like the V on his chest has a very similar look to how it looked in Mortal Kombat X. So I see that obviously some inspiration comes from there, which is kind of cool. Yeah, the costume is kind of odd, I guess, in summary. I only say that because I've never seen anything like this on him before, right? And that's only natural for me to say, like, okay, this is like kind of out of place, because this is a universe he's never been in. Another thing that I noticed, and I'm actually kind of confused as to why there's no indication of this, in the description for the DLC reveal, the Injustice 2 Fighter Pack 1 revealed or whatever, it says the first 3 DLC characters for Injustice 2 revealed: Batman's second protege, Red Hood, who I'm so fucking excited for, Royal Exile from Tamaran, Starfire, and the leader of the Lin Kuei, Sub-Zero, joined the fight. So obviously it's going to be Kuai Liang, because nobody fucking likes Bi-Han as Sub-Zero. Just kidding. Everyone loves Bi-Han as Noob Saibot, but when it comes to Sub-Zero, other than like, mythologies, nobody really cares about Bi-Han. So this is clearly Kuai Liang. It wouldn't have been anyone else but Kuai Liang. Obviously from the fucking mask. He's the Grand Master in this universe, which obviously makes sense. There's no reason why he shouldn't not be, because he's already evolved a very long way. We don't need to bring him back anymore. But what I'm trying to say is, in his current costume, we see no indication that he's the Grand Master. Like, he usually will wear something. In MKX, he has obviously a style named after Grandmaster. In the story mode, we see him with the Grandmaster pendant, which is interesting because we don't actually see the dragon medallion on him, unless that's retconned as the dragon medallion of some kind. In MK9, he had the Lin Kuei symbol on his chest, as well as basically almost every other game except for, not every other game, but every other game in which he has been Grandmaster, he's had some indication of it that like is clearly identifying himself as the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei, whether it be the Dragon Medallion or the new medallion that he wears, or he wears his Grandmaster outfit, which is the classic, Mortal Kombat 3 design. That is like the Grandmaster outfit now. But yeah, that's another thing that I noticed, is that we don't actually see any sort of indication on his costume, a visual representation saying, yes, I am the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. So I hope to see that in some sort of like piece of gear that'll like augment his playstyle a little bit. That'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, the costume is different, very different from anything that I've ever seen him wear. And like I said, I don't want to come off as overly negative. I'm just giving my opinion on what I see in front of me. Yeah, it's interesting. It's different. I can't wait to see how other pieces of gear are going to change his costume design, as well as any sort of premium skins, or just like flat out just complete changes. Because I'd be down to use that MKX skin all day when I play him. But yeah, you guys and gals, that was a really long video. I guess that's to be expected when he's my favorite character of all time, of anything ever in the universe. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. We talked about his reaction from the fans, as well as a little bit of my justification, or I guess the justification for including him in the game. We've talked about some possible gameplay possibilities. Well, that was redundant. Some gameplay possibilities and how I predict that. Well, I predict that one piece of gear, or a piece of gear, will change his ice projectile into a projectile that deals damage. That'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, I think he has quite a lot of possibilities in a lot of different directions that gear can pull him towards or whatever. And that's really exciting because that means we'll see Sub-Zero be taken to a place that possibly hasn't really been seen before, or further develop a place that he's dipped his feet in, i.e. the highly offensive archetype with the Cryomancer, but like an evolution of that. And I think his hero trait might actually be the dual Kuai blades, and that's pretty exciting. We talked a lot about his costume and my opinion of that, and it's kind of odd. But yeah, it's not like I'm hating on it. I'm just talking about what I see. And yeah, so thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm excited for Injustice 2. I'm excited for my favorite character to make it into the game. I am looking forward to playing with him. And that's pretty much going to do it for me. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you all for watching. And I'm out. Take care. Have a good day.